You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs.
Mtu kama huyo apigwe risasi miguu, aende hospitali, akienda kotini. Yes. Yeah. Wasimuue lakini wapige hii miguu ikunjike ndio aende kotini, aende hospitali, akienda kotini.
Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protest. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all.
Hello and welcome back to Havana Media. Remember, this is where we bring you stories that matter, stories about truth, power, and the stories about the people. Now today we turn our attention to a statement that has sent shockwaves through Kenya and beyond. President William Ruto recently appeared in an interview with Al Jazeera, and he said in that live interview that I don't regret those comments at all. These statements referred to his directives that people should be shot in the legs during the last year's deadly unrest. Now, let us be clear here. In July 2025, amidst mass protest across Kenya, remember the Mambo ni Matatu phrase that President Ruto told the police that anyone caught burning another person's business or property should be shot in the leg, hospitalized, and later taken to court. Now, when asked whether he regretted that order, President Ruto stood his ground. He claimed the law allows police to use force when lives or property are at risk, and that he has no regrets whatsoever. Now, this is where the story really gets serious. What does it mean when the country's leader says he wants limbs broken, yet lives preserved? How does this sit with Kenya's constitution, human rights, and the idea of peaceful protests? Let us pause and look at the unrest itself. These protests were sparked by young people, what some call the Gen Z movement, very angry about rising costs, jobs, and what they saw as government neglect. The protests turned violent in many places, of course, and the government responded with force. But the leap from force to shoot to cripple is very huge. That is not a statement of restraint. It's a statement of deterrence through pain. President Ruto argues that he was confronting criminal elements hiding among the protesters. Those who burned businesses, destroyed property, claimed he had to protect both citizens and the state. We've had to balance between dealing with violent criminals on one end and manage protests on the other. That's what the president said on the interview.
The public went up in arms because they said, these are not protests. This is looting. This is criminality. And we have had to balance. The police have had to balance between dealing with violent criminals on one end and also managing protests.
You didn't leave it to the police force, did you? You got directly involved. You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protest. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all, because the law allows the police to use force when other people's lives are in danger.
Surely there are ways of doing that without using live ammunition.
That is according to you. I think the police know what they need to do. And the police, by the way, understand that it is within their purview. That is why when I came into office, I ensured that the police was independent. The police carried out their responsibilities independently.
Well, you say independent, you're telling the police to shoot protesters in the legs. That sounds like you're ordering the police.
No, there is nowhere in the law that allows me to order the police.
The oldest newspaper in Kenya, The Standard, had on its front page Rogue Ruto, and you stopped live media coverage, or tried to, of these protests. Kenya's known for its freedom of media. It's one of the great beacons of free media in Kenya. People I've spoken to, young Kenyans, say they are worried now about censorship in your country.
But critics say that this is a very dangerous precedent. If the state accepts the legitimacy of shooting limbs to maintain order, what stops it from moving to shooting bodies next? Rights groups warn this crosses a line between maintaining law and committing violence. Let's ask the heart of the matter. When people protest, often they do because they feel unsafe, unheard, or maybe unseen. They may be frustrated, very angry. But should the response be broken legs? That is the question. What message does that send to young people, to citizens, or to the world at large? That the cost of dissent is a disability. The president claimed the police are independent, that he did not order them. They know what they need to do. But his words were public, his tone clear, and many believe such statements don't exist in a vacuum. Kenyans, what comes after such a statement? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Lives broken, trust lost, a government seen as willing to cripple its citizens rather than dialogue with them. Kenyans asking, are we a democracy where protest is allowed, or a state where protests can cost you your bones? Because when you say shoot the leg, you are saying protests will leave you damaged, even if you survive. That's bigger than just politics. It's about the relationship between power and the people. What happens now is very crucial. Will there be accountability? Will the government inspect those policies, those orders, or even those statements? Will we move on as though nothing happened while the broken continue to suffer? This is not just an isolated comment. It's part of a pattern. It reveals how a government views protests, property, and power, and also how easily the rights of citizens become collateral in a war declared on dissent. And now to the youths, to the protesters, to every Kenyan paying the price for walking in the streets. Your voice matters. Your life matters. And if leadership sees you as a collateral, it's time to speak louder. Let me repeat that statement. It is time to speak louder. Thank you for watching Havana Media. Because if this story matters to you, make sure that you share it, comment your thoughts, subscribe. Because when power talks, people should listen. And when people speak, leadership should answer. My name is Oduor Billy. Until next time, bye-bye.